All right, it's a little after 9:30, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't want this to take too long. I decided I wanted to jump on and maybe do a live edit so that people can see. There's nothing magic about this. It's pretty standard to edit a Milky Way image, especially using an app like Lightroom. And so I'm going to jump on. I'm going to edit an image. Nothing's been done to this image. I haven't pre-edited it. I hadn't tried it. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. So we're going to see together. This shot Polly's Island March 1st of this year. Was really the first opportunity I had to go out and shoot Milky Way. Had a pretty good night shooting, and I'm going to edit a single image. This is not going to be my stacking process. I've got some other videos that show my stacking process, and I'm probably going to do that live video with that a little bit later on. This is going to be a live video where I'm going to edit a single image all the way through just using Lightroom. Well, I'll take it back. I'm going to use Lightroom, and I'm going to use one other program that I've recently found is of tremendous benefit. So I'm gonna throw this in. Hey, I'm just gonna get started. I'm fumbling around here. The camera to the left belongs to Lou Vega out of Charleston. He was up at Polly's Island shooting with me that night. The first thing that I'm going to do with this image before I do any editing is I'm going to run DxO's Pure Raw 5. This is a new app that I've just started using. It's pretty powerful. I'm going to do a tutorial on it shortly, but I've started throwing this one in. It really does a great job preparing your raw files for some final edits. It takes a few minutes to run through. And then now I'm no longer editing that original Nikon RAW file. I'm going to go back into that. So you can see that this is the original Nikon RAW file. It has now got a DNG file that Pure Raw 5 has created. So from here, my first process is to get a white balance. I usually like to see what Adobe is going to try and give me. 4900, that looks, I'm going to drop that down. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Exposure looks good. Not going to do much as far as global edits. I'm not really going to do anything as far as global edits at this point. I'm going to go straight into local edits because these Milky Way images, the way you have to think of them is it's not one single image. It is this image of the Milky Way up here, and you've also got this foreground here on this side, which is sand and then some water. Those things are going to require different processes, different editing techniques. You're going to need different values. So we're going to treat them a little bit differently. And with this, we're going to use the landscape function on Adobe Lightroom. And it's going to give me 4 mask options. I'm going to choose all 4. It's calling this vegetation, but clearly it's not. And I'm going to create the masks. I always start with the sky, and the first thing I do is drop the highlights out. Not all the way, but pretty close. I'm going to give it a little bit of contrast. Darken the shadows down. Increase the whites to offset that. Take the blacks down just a little bit to give it just a bit of texture, a little bit of clarity. And then I'm going to have to use a fair bit of dehaze on this one. It was a little bit hazy that night. Not too much. I don't want to go, you go crazy with it, it makes it look really weird. So I'm not going to go too far with it. Somewhere in there looks good. And then I'm going to go to the ground. I'm going to give it just a little bit more an exposure. A little bit of contrast to give it some depth. Maybe I'm going to add a little bit of highlight to give it some depth and increase the shadows. A little bit of whites. And I'm going to leave the blacks alone. Just a hint of texture and clarity. You can add dehaze, but actually I might add just a little bit of dehaze on that. I like the way it brings some color out. Increase the exposure just a little bit more to offset it. Now for the water, we're going to increase the exposure, increase the contrast, take some highlights out, add a little bit of white back in because we've got some wave action back here. Blacks, I'm not really going to do anything with the blacks. Clarity. Dehaze now. I don't think I'm going to use any dehaze with this, but there are some shots where I'm a little bit maybe closer to the water, and dehaze can have some really good effect in the water. And then I'm going to go to the seawall here. Bump the exposure up. Highlights up just a little bit. I'm going to raise the shadows a good bit so you can actually see the wood. The whites down just a little bit. And I'm going to increase the blacks just a little bit because this is very dark. Again, just a bit of texture and a bit of clarity. Do not need any dehaze. I'm going to bring the overall exposure for this image up just a little bit. And bring the overall highlights down just a little bit. And there we have it. And we're going to compare it. Whoops. Now there we can compare this with the original image. Um, let that the Pure Raw 5 took care of a great deal of the noise in this, so you can do a lot of noise reduction on a single shot, just out of the gate with that. You got a little bit of a misty effect here, so I like that. But you can see this is an image that I would have no trouble at all posting Instagram, Facebook, wherever, social media. And you can see on the right, we've got the original image as it came out of camera, and on the left, with just about 5 minutes or so worth of edits, and you've got something that you can easily export for social media. So that's editing for Milky Way using Lightroom with a little bit of helper from Pure Raw 5. I'm planning on next week continuing this edit on this image through the Photoshop process, but I didn't want to go too far with it at this point. I just kind of wanted to come on here and show everybody how to do a quick edit. If you got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Leave me a comment. Please like and subscribe. It helps me continue to push out content like this to help others who may not have quite figured out how to do the Milky Way photography just yet, especially the editing part. I think the editing part can be very daunting to a lot of people. They don't want to sit down in front of the computer. It scares them. They don't have any idea what they're doing. But it's really simple and can take your basic image just out of camera and turn it into something that you can be proud of with just about 5 minutes work on the computer. So that'll do it for tonight. If you'd like for me to edit an image for you on a live in the future, please leave me a comment or message me through YouTube, Facebook, one of my social medias. Send me an email through my website, and I will be happy to throw your image in and show you what I would do. It may not be exactly what you would do, but I'll show you what I would do to it, and look forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks a lot.